Imagine discovering that the person you trust most is secretly planning to betray you, but you're one step ahead. This story has twists you won't see coming. Stay tuned to see how one man's perfect revenge plays out. Jessica had been an amazing wife ever since we tied the knot a few years back. Our relationship felt unbreakable, and we shared a rich, fulfilling life together. Until now, she had never given me any reason to feel jealous or question her loyalty. So, when she mentioned meeting with the vice president of her company, it took me by surprise. 4 years ago, Jessica began working at Summit Global Consulting in Chicago, quickly rising to the role of marketing manager in this expanding international consulting firm. As you can imagine, she meets all kinds of people and attends a variety of events, conferences, strategy sessions, and marketing presentations. Their clients range from professional sports teams to high-profile brands in entertainment. Her charismatic personality, combined with her intelligence and professionalism, made her an ideal fit for the company. Jessica often shared stories about her projects, her achievements, and the challenges she faced. I was always proud to listen and support her ambitions. She'd set her sights on becoming the director of marketing, and I knew how committed she was to that goal. Summit Global Consulting is a well-known American firm with offices in multiple cities, and her boss, Alex Ford, had recently been promoted to vice president of marketing. Alex, in his early 50s, was known for his ambitious nature. He had worked his way up over the years, been married twice, and had 4 children, 2 with his current wife. When Jessica told me about Alex, I thought, at least he's got enough going on at home to keep him busy. One evening, she brought up Alex's upcoming stay at the Chicago office, mentioning he'd be there for a couple of months. This, she explained, was her big chance to prove her value to the company and show she was ready to take her career to the next level. That's my girl, I thought, impressed by her drive and determination to advance her future. Recently, Jessica and I had begun discussing having kids, and I asked if this promotion might delay our family plans. She replied that she wanted to secure her position while Alex was in town, and afterward, we could decide whether to start a family or wait another year. Either way worked for me. We were both still in our 20s and had time. We both wanted 2 kids, a boy and a girl. We'd spent countless nights choosing names, imagining what schools they'd attend, and dreaming about our future as parents. We were deeply in love, and raising a family was a dream we both shared. A week after Alex arrived, I decided to surprise Jessica at her office and invite her to lunch. When I walked in, I saw her and Alex standing a bit too close, and she was laughing in a way that seemed more than professional. As soon as I greeted them, Jessica immediately took a step back. She introduced me to Alex, and I swear he gave me a smirk that triggered every instinct in me. "Alex, this is my husband, Tom. Tom, this is Alex Ford, our vice president from the New York office," she said. Alex extended his hand and said, "Ah, so you're that supportive husband I keep hearing about. Good to meet you, but I'm already late for a meeting." His tone and expression left me with an uneasy feeling. As soon as he walked out, I turned to Jessica, visibly irritated. "Jessica, what was that? Why were you standing so close to him, laughing like that?" She seemed a bit flustered and tried to brush it off. "Oh, Tom, don't be silly. It's just Alex. He's got this witty, charming way of talking, and everyone here loves him. He's old enough to be my father. The team can't get enough of his New York accent, and he enjoys the attention." But I couldn't shake my frustration. I don't care how charming he is. I don't like him calling me the supportive husband as if I'm just some background character. And I definitely don't like seeing my wife giggling with him. Jessica sighed and gave me a reassuring smile. "Tom, relax. He's just a little overconfident, but it's harmless. Besides, he's heading back to New York in a couple of months." After that, things felt tense between us. For the next few days, Jessica avoided bringing up Alex, maybe to keep from making things worse. Then, one Wednesday evening, about a week after our encounter at her office, Jessica casually mentioned him over dinner. "Tom, would you mind if I had dinner with Alex sometime soon?" she asked, catching me completely off guard. Are you talking about a business dinner? I asked, raising an eyebrow. Well, no. It's more of a farewell dinner before he goes back to New York. Just one night. A knot formed in my stomach, and my pulse quickened. After a moment, I responded, so, this is the same Alex who was flirting with you at the office and made that supportive husband comment. Jessica took a deep breath. Yes, but he's been respectful since then, and I'll likely never see him again once he's back in New York. It's just dinner, and I thought it'd be a good chance to get some career advice. You're often away for work, and it's only for one night. So it's not a business dinner, it's a date. I replied sharply. You're saying you want to spend the evening alone with another man. Let me be clear, Jessica, I will not allow you to go on a date with anyone while we're married. Just the fact that you're asking me this makes me question our entire relationship. Seeing my reaction, she panicked. Tom, no. You're completely misunderstanding. I love you, and you're my husband. Alex is just my boss, and this is a one-time thing. Nothing between us will change, and he'll be gone soon. Please, it's only for one night. My anger surged. I met her gaze and said, Get out of my life, Jessica. I'm filing for divorce. I stood up, went to the bedroom, threw a few things into a bag, and left. She followed, pleading for me to stay, but I was done. Within half an hour, my world had flipped upside down. I left the apartment, unable to look back. As I drove away, her texts and calls flooded my phone, each one apologetic, insisting that she loved me and that no one could replace me. In one message, she claimed I had misunderstood everything and begged me to come back. Driving through the city, I kept telling myself that if Jessica could be swayed so easily, our marriage was already on shaky ground, and repairing trust would be nearly impossible. I decided to take a few days off work and leave town, instructing my boss to tell Jessica I was on a business trip if she reached out. Meanwhile, Jessica was torn between her feelings for me and the excitement stirred up by her colleagues, who had been buzzing about Alex's presence since he arrived. He was a striking man, tall, confident, with an accent that her coworkers found both charming and intriguing. And from the moment he arrived, Alex had shown a clear interest in Jessica. His compliments, private meetings, and shared lunches hadn't gone unnoticed, causing more than a few jealous glances from her coworkers. One afternoon, as Jessica finished up a meeting, her friend Ashley leaned over with a sly smile. Jessica, he's asked you to dinner a few times already, she whispered. Any of us would jump at the chance. Alex is handsome, successful, and has that accent. Come on. Just enjoy yourself for a night. It's not like your husband will ever know, and Alex will be back in New York soon. It's the perfect opportunity. Jessica initially dismissed Ashley's suggestion. But the more her coworkers encouraged her, the more she started considering it, rationalizing it as a harmless, one-time experience. Deep down, Jessica knew she couldn't betray me, so she decided on a compromise. She would ask me for permission, convinced that I'd allow her this innocent evening with Alex. She thought I'd understand. But my reaction had been so intense that she was left utterly shaken. Desperate and unsure what to do, Jessica called her closest friend and coworker, Nicole. They had started at Summit Global together and had been inseparable since. Nicole, it's Jessica. He's gone. Tom left me, she cried into the phone. Jessica, what happened? Why would he leave? I told him I wanted to have dinner with Alex, and he just packed his things and walked out. He even mentioned divorce, and now I'm terrified I've lost him. Don't worry, Jess. He's just angry. You know how guys are with their pride. He'll be back. You didn't do anything wrong, and he knows that. He might sulk for a while, but he'll come around. We'll figure something out to get you and Alex together for that dinner. I don't want to be with Alex. I just want Tom back, Jessica sobbed. Jessica, relax. Have a glass of wine, breathe, and we'll talk tomorrow at work, Nicole assured her. Despite Jessica's pleas to avoid causing more trouble, her coworkers kept pushing their idea for her evening with Alex. 2 days later, I came back home, but I chose to stay in the guest bedroom. Just as Nicole had predicted, my anger was intense, much more than anyone had anticipated. Although I loved Jessica, I was prepared to end our marriage if she even mentioned Alex's name again. At the very least, I felt that we'd need serious marriage counseling to move forward. For the next week, Jessica did everything she could to win back my trust. Though I resisted at first, I couldn't deny the attraction I still felt for her. Eventually, my anger softened. One night, we shared a passionate evening together, which brought some level of reconciliation. However, I gave her a stern warning. Next time, Jessica, I won't be coming back. Jessica knew she had come dangerously close to losing everything. She shared the whole story with her coworkers, admitting just how close she had been to losing her marriage over a moment of poor judgment. However, her coworkers were far from dissuaded. Determined to make her evening with Alex happen, they came up with a new, supposedly foolproof plan. This time, her friend Ashley took the lead, proposing an idea that sparked excitement in the group. "Listen, in 2 weeks, we're having our end-of-year celebration at the Skyline View Hotel," Ashley began, smirking. "It's a formal dinner with live music and dancing, and spouses are encouraged to come. My husband, Dan, works for a pharmaceutical company, and they recently launched a new sedative product called Tranquilix. It's a fast-acting sedative given before minor surgeries. Just a small dose makes someone drowsy with short-term memory loss, and the effect only lasts a few hours." Another coworker, Molly, looked intrigued. "So, what's the plan with the sedative?" Ashley continued. "Dan has samples of Tranquilix in his work bag. I could easily borrow a few without him noticing. On the night of the party, I'll add some to Tom's drink. We'll act like he's had too much to drink, and then we'll help him to one of the hotel rooms to sleep it off. Jessica, that'll be your chance to meet Alex in his suite for a few hours. I'll make sure Tom doesn't wake up until morning." Jessica stared at Ashley, wide-eyed. "Are you serious, Ashley? Drugging my own husband? That's insane. He'd never forgive me if he found out." Ashley laughed. "Oh, come on, Jessica. He'll never know. You'll have one night with Alex, and your promotion will practically be sealed. Tom will just think he drank too much. You'll be there when he wakes up, and everything will seem normal." Jessica hesitated, looking around at her friends, who were all eager to see the plan play out. "I don't know. This sounds crazy. If Tom finds out, he'll leave me for good. Jess, live a little." Ashley insisted. "It's just one night. Tom will never know, and you'll have an amazing story to tell. Plus, Alex will feel indebted to you, and that promotion is as good as yours." Jessica sighed. "I need to think about it. Things between Tom and me are just starting to get back to normal, and I don't want to ruin that. I'll talk to him about the party and see how he reacts." That night, while we were lying in bed, Jessica mentioned the upcoming event. "Tom, the company's hosting a formal dinner at the Skyline View Hotel in a couple of weeks. It's a year-end celebration, and they're inviting spouses. I'd love for you to come with me. We haven't gone dancing in ages, and I think it could be fun." "Jessica, you know I'm not into these work events, but I'll go because it's important to you," I replied, studying her expression carefully. She looked genuinely happy, and that night, Jessica seemed more affectionate than usual. We shared an intimate moment, and afterward, she fell asleep in my arms, content. However, her sudden warmth only raised my suspicions. Was she feeling guilty, or was she hiding something more? In the days that followed, I noticed Jessica was texting her friends constantly, keeping her phone close as if guarding a secret. I began to feel there was more going on, so one night, after she had fallen asleep, I took her phone, entered our anniversary date as the passcode, and opened her messages. For the next hour, I read in shock, uncovering every detail, the sedative, the plan, and the scheme to drug me so she could meet with Alex. My stomach turned with anger and disgust. After saving screenshots of the messages as evidence, I carefully returned her phone and took a few deep breaths to calm myself. Jessica and her friends had plotted to drug me and humiliate me for a cheap thrill. Instead of confronting her immediately, I decided to turn the tables. I called my godfather, Uncle Mike, a retired detective, and explained the situation. Together, we devised a plan of our own to make sure Jessica and her friends faced the consequences of their scheme. Over the next week, I played my role as the supportive husband, watching as Jessica and her friends prepared for the big night. Uncle Mike enlisted his former partner, Serena Clark, a retired detective with a sharp eye and a passion for justice. She would be there to make sure I didn't consume any spiked drinks. Uncle Mike also arranged for two of my army buddies, Chris Nolan and Evan Ramirez, to help with the aftermath. When the night of the event arrived, Jessica and I dressed up and headed to the Skyline View Hotel. She looked stunning in a deep emerald dress with a low back, accentuating her figure, paired with elegant heels and a touch of red lipstick. The irony was heavy. She looked incredible, but I knew it wasn't for me. She was dressing up for Alex. "You look amazing tonight, Jessica. Is all this for me?" I asked, watching her closely. "Of course, honey," she replied with a smile, though it wavered just slightly. "I just want you to be proud of me." We arrived at the hotel ballroom, where her coworkers quickly surrounded her, pulling her into the crowd where Alex was mingling and laughing with others. I stayed back, scanning the room for Serena, who was posted near the bar, keeping an eye on everything. As Jessica laughed with her friends, I noticed how Alex's hand settled a bit too easily on her lower back, and how she leaned into him with familiarity. My stomach twisted, but I forced myself to keep my cool, determined to see our plan through. Alex, noticing me watching, decided to throw in a few digs at my expense. With a smug grin, he called out, "Ah, the supportive accountant. Good to see you, Tom. I imagine you have all our numbers memorized by now, right?" Jessica and her coworkers laughed, and the sting of it hit harder than I expected. Alex kept making more jokes at my expense, each one testing my patience. I clenched my fists, ready to put an end to his arrogance, but I reminded myself of the plan. Just then, Serena gave me a nod from across the room, signaling that she had her eye on Jessica's friends as they prepared a drink, one meant for me. I joined the group at the bar, playing my role as Jessica's dutiful husband, as her friend Ashley approached with a glass. "Tom, have a drink with us," Ashley said, handing me what looked like a whiskey. I pretended to hesitate. "I don't know, I've already had a few tonight. Don't want to overdo it." "Oh, come on. It's a celebration. Live a little," Ashley insisted, giving me a forced smile. Reluctantly, I accepted the drink, then discreetly swapped it with a glass of water Serena had placed at the bar earlier. I took a long sip, feigning enjoyment, while Ashley watched, her expression shifting from eagerness to disappointment as I downed the glass without any effect. "Maybe you're right," I said, grinning at her. "Let's just enjoy the evening." Ashley looked uneasy, likely worried that the sedative hadn't worked. After a few minutes, she and the others huddled together, whispering about what to do next. Meanwhile, I pretended to feel lightheaded, slumping into my chair, acting as if the drink was finally hitting me. Jessica and Alex continued their dance, oblivious to how their carefully laid plan was falling apart. As the evening wore on, I allowed myself to doze off in my seat. Soon enough, Jessica and her friends approached, whispering to each other as they tried to wake me up. "Tom, are you okay?" Jessica asked, gently shaking my shoulder. I opened my eyes slightly and mumbled, "Just a bit too much, I think." Jessica exchanged quick glances with Ashley and Nicole, who took me by the arms and helped me up. They guided me out of the ballroom, reassuring other guests that I just had a little too much to drink. Alex slipped out through a side exit, waiting for Jessica as planned. Jessica and her friends escorted me to our reserved room, where Jessica helped me onto the bed. I closed my eyes, playing along as she whispered in my ear, "I'll be back soon, Tom. Just rest, okay?" Her words cut like a knife, but I remained calm, knowing what was about to happen. Once they left, I sat up, fully alert. Serena had already texted me the room number where Alex was waiting for Jessica, room 1810. I checked my watch, it was 10:50. I still had a bit of time. I straightened my jacket, grabbed a pair of brass knuckles I had packed, and headed out to meet up with Uncle Mike, Chris, and Evan. We regrouped outside room 1810 just as the clock hit 11. Uncle Mike knocked firmly on the door, holding his retired detective badge. From inside, we heard Alex's voice. "Who is it?" "This is Officer Clark with Chicago PD. We need to ask you a few questions," Mike announced, flashing his badge at the peephole. After a moment's hesitation, Alex opened the door slightly, clearly confused. That was all we needed. Chris and Evan pushed the door open, pinning him against the wall before he could react. I walked in, recording the entire scene on my phone. The shock on Alex's face was priceless as he recognized me. On the bed, Jessica sat frozen, her face pale as she realized what was happening. I lowered the phone, meeting her eyes with a look of cold determination. "You threw away our marriage for this?" I said, motioning to Alex, who looked utterly terrified. "You plotted to drug me and sneak off with him while I was out cold. And you thought I wouldn't find out?" "Tom, please, it's not what you think," she stammered, fumbling for words as she tried to cover herself. "Not what I think." I shot back, my voice cutting through the room. "You conspired with your friends, drugged me, and planned to betray me in the worst way. And you didn't expect to get caught." Jessica's eyes filled with tears. "Tom, please. I love you. This was a mistake. I never wanted to lose you." "But you did," I replied coldly. "I've already called my lawyer. Divorce papers will be delivered to you tomorrow morning. You'll be keeping the apartment, but I'm taking our savings and investments. I've also canceled your credit cards. This is goodbye, Jessica." I turned to Alex, who looked like he was in shock. "And as for you, I've recorded everything. Your wife will see this video soon, and I'll make sure it gets to the right people at your company. This won't be forgotten." Alex tried to speak, "Look, man." But before he could finish, Chris and Evan gave him a warning glare, making it clear he wouldn't get off easy. After a pause, I walked over and delivered a punch to his jaw, leaving him stunned on the floor. Without another word, I left the room, Jessica's cries fading into the background. As I exited the Skyline View Hotel, Uncle Mike, Chris, and Evan met me with solemn nods, and we all left together. In the following days, I filed for divorce, ensuring that Jessica received the papers at the apartment we once shared. She signed them without argument, realizing there was nothing left to save. As for Alex, his life unraveled quickly. The video made it to his wife, who immediately filed for divorce. His employer received a copy as well, along with details of his inappropriate conduct with female employees, resulting in his swift termination. The once confident executive who enjoyed flaunting his charm was left with a tarnished reputation and few options. Jessica's career took a similar hit. Her role in the scheme became known around the office, and soon after, Summit Global let her go. The scandal was too much for them to ignore, and she found herself jobless, alone, and forced to face the consequences of her choices. As for me, I moved forward, true to my word, without looking back. A few years later, I remarried a woman named Allison, someone who was not only loyal but shared my vision for family and commitment. We welcomed our first child together, and I found happiness and peace that I hadn't felt in years. Trust didn't come easily after everything I'd been through, but Allison understood. We even had a prenuptial agreement in place, just to keep things secure, and she respected my need for time to rebuild trust. Meanwhile, Jessica lived with the regret of her decisions. Alone in her small apartment, she would scroll through social media, seeing photos of my new family, our young son, and the life she had thrown away. Each image deepened her regret, a painful reminder of the night everything fell apart. She replayed our last moments together, haunted by the betrayal she had orchestrated and the life she could never reclaim. Sometimes, the hardest part of betrayal isn't the act itself but living with the consequences that follow. This is the end of the story. Friends, share your opinion and thoughts in the comments. Subscribe to Secret Stories so you never miss our exciting stories. It will help us a lot in our development. We release new stories daily.